Melburnians again proved their football-loving reputation, gathering at Federation Square, by the Yarra or their local pubs, while for others the big day began with the traditional North Melbourne breakfast.
On Grand Final day, even Robbie Williams impersonators can't wait for kick-off.
Come on, come on, come on, come on! Come on, come on, come on, come on!
Carbon copy Robbie joining the Prime Minister and others for an early start.
Sport binds us together, whatever our differences might be on other issues.
And today we have a contest between two sides that have created, in a very short period of time, one of the game's great rivalries.
After 14 hours on the train from Adelaide, fans arrived fit to pop.
Swans are back for back-to-back.
While the family fun day at Punt Road Oval proved popular as ever. Everyone was welcome, even Collingwood fans.
I'm going for the ball. It's going to score the most goals for sure.
The Swans may have left years ago, but South Melbourne faced its history as punters stocked up.
It is a very big selling day, been busy since 6 o'clock this morning.
By the Yarra, barbecues weren't the only things getting fired up.
Come on, Goldie, you can get better than that!
Less comfort but greater numbers at Federation Square, thousands feeling every moment. Christopher Still, 10 News.
Well, as can be expected, things not quite so happy in the Swans' former heartland. Reporter Mignon Henny joins us live now from South Melbourne. And Mignon, as an Eagles supporter, you'll be pleased with the result, but you're in dangerous territory there. What's it like?
I am in dangerous territory, but yes, Mal, as a native Western Australian, I'm a pretty happy camper, unlike this time last year. But yes, I'm in enemy territory, and I must say there are a few sad and sorry faces here today. Now, Melbourne put on the weather and the pubs, of course, put on the beer, and just as well, because here in South Melbourne, the Victorian heartland for the Sydney Swans, they need a drink. Hundreds here drowning their sorrows, as it may have been the epic rematch of last year's grand final, but a very different result. Of course, the Swans losing by just 1 point. It's a sea of red and white here, and it's a sea of almost tears. The Eagles coming back with payback. The crowd here riding the ups and downs of their side before conceding defeat, not until the very last siren. But now, like many losers, these supporters are set here to stay at the bar and lament on the one that got away. It's not back-to-back wins for them, but I'm sure it's going to be back-to-back beers.
We'll leave them with you. Thank you, Mignon. Mignon Henny reporting live from South Melbourne. More grand final coverage a little later in this bulletin.
Good evening, everyone. The West Coast Eagles have won their third premiership in dramatic style, holding off a determined bid for back-to-back titles by Sydney. For the first time in 40 years, the grand final was decided by 1 point. And despite kicking just 4 goals after half-time, the Eagles were able to hold off a fast-finishing Swans. Eagle midfielder Andrew Embley named Norm Smith medalist after 26 possessions.
Groundhog Day, the game's biggest stage and the game's biggest prize, had two old foes pitched together once more. The favourites hit the ground full of running. The Eagles start scintillating.
Goals are to be cherished today, and he'll love that one.
Ashley Hansen had the opener. The Swans had the jitters. Early on, the reigning champs were on the canvas.
He's been running all year, and he's finishing strongly.
Stage fright was suffered across the red and white board.
Shouldn't miss from here.
Set shot Shanks had the men from the West up by 16 at break 1. It was a margin that grew into the second.
Embley going hard enough to kick the goal.
A couple more for Big Lynch, and the Eagles were in complete control.
The Eagles are rolling at the G.
The hot-headed Swans were throwing their weight, but on this day, even that backfired.
Forward movement and motion.
A touch of class late from Nick Davis kept them within striking distance at the half. Into the third, the Swans needed a spark. An old favourite delivered. But John Worsfold's men always seem to have the answers, and some.
He barely raised a sweat. It's going. It's going. It's gone.
When all was starting to look lost, the Swans found an unlikely star with an unlikely snap.
Finds some space, and he kicks the
And some more sharp shooting from Davis had the margin just 11 with 1 to go. The tide had turned full circle 10 seconds into the last. Another cliffhanger was on the cards. The Swans were storming home, goal after a miserable opening.
Straightens up towards goal.
But every time they fired, their arch rival would hit straight back. A game again for the ages. Again, the margin was 1. But this time, the footballing gods smiled fondly on West Coast.
Who would have thought the sequel would be just as good as the original?
Heartbreak 12 months on for one, the greatest moment the game can offer for the other. Tim Hodges, 10 News.
We've heard plenty from the Eagles. Swans coach Paul Roos has just held his news conference. Here's his reaction to the 1-point loss.
You know, you give them a start like that, it makes it hard to pin back. But I suppose in the end, when it comes down to a point, you know, is it the first quarter, the second, is it the last couple of minutes? You know, you're not really sure. But, you know, it was obviously another close game, and you know, full credit to them. They were able to get over the line this time.
The other premiership decided on the MCG today went to a first-timer. The Oakley Chargers came from behind to beat the Calder Cannons and win their first under-18 title. After trailing by 17 points at half-time, the Chargers dominated the third quarter. They kicked 8 goals to 1 to turn the tide and run out easy 27-point winners. The Cup's their first in the club's 12-year history.